Holy moly, I just exposed something that you guys are going to be shocked by. The feds are telling the SEC chairman, Mr. Gary Gensler himself, to resign. Now, I found a couple clips here that prove that is happening, and of course, it's all going to be revealed in today's video. That's why I want to tell you guys to make sure you watch this video until the end, because you don't want to miss any of this fact-based, condensed information. You hit that subscribe button with your post notifications on to keep up to date with all of the content, and of course, to smash the like button. The current price of XRP is 48 cents, almost 49 cents. Again, it is kind of stabilizing as of now, which is great to see, and I do expect it to probably continue on stabilizing, and then eventually we will hopefully see it trend upwards, especially after this lawsuit and all the great news that has come out of this, that the lawsuit's most likely going to settle before November 15th. But let's jump into the real content, talking about why the feds are telling the SEC chairman, Mr. Gary Gensler, to resign. Let's get into our first thing. So after digging so much, it took me a very long time to find this clip, because not many people were posting about it on Twitter. It wasn't anywhere seen, but this is actually a clip that was relatively recent of, the feds going ahead and questioning Gary Gensler. And in fact, this is not the first time they've questioned him. I did show a previous clip in the past videos where they questioned him, but this time they were mad. They were pissed because at the end of the day, they've been telling the SEC chairman to change his way of doing things within regards to the lawsuit, within regards to XRP, to, stop suing companies, especially in the crypto industry. They even labeled the fact that after a very long time of the SEC not being able to provide clarity, and after the feds consistently pushing the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, to provide some sort of clarity for these cryptocurrency companies, he decided to not do any of that. So at this point, guys, in this clip that you're about to see, they're going to be mad. They're going to be pushing Gary Gensler, and at the very end, they're also going to be threatening him. So I'm going to roll the clip right now. Watch it until the end. Definitely one of the most mind-blowing clips that I've seen. Let's get going.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Gensler, welcome back to the committee. Good to see you again. The SEC, as we all know, has a critical role to play in protecting investors, maintaining fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitating capital formation. Unfortunately, some of the SEC's recent actions and inactions raise concern about how well it's carrying out this important mission. Take, for example, the SEC's handling of crypto lending platforms like Celsius and Voyager. Celsius and Voyager were offering interest rates as high as 18% if customers would lend their digital assets to them. The firms would then lend that crypto to presumably other larger investors to make short-term bets on crypto markets. But once the crypto sell-off began, many borrowers couldn't pay their debts, and these platforms froze customer accounts. The SEC did take enforcement action against BlockFi for similar activities last winter, yet somehow let Celsius and Voyager continue through this spring when both companies blew up and found themselves in bankruptcy, with investors staring at billions in losses. Where was the SEC? And where's the SEC been in clarifying the rules of the road for crypto market participants? The chairman insists in his written testimony that, and I quote, the vast majority, end quote, of crypto tokens are securities. But he's also acknowledged that Bitcoin is not. Now, presumably, that's because Bitcoin is so thoroughly decentralized. But that naturally raises the question, where on the decentralization continuum does a token cease to be a security? Now, most of these tokens don't even have a financial claim on the issuer. Doesn't that make these tokens very different from at least the vast majority of ordinary securities? And if the chairman is right that most tokens should be considered securities, then as he himself states in his written testimony, and I quote, it follows that many crypto intermediaries are transacting in securities and have to register with the SEC in some capacity, end quote. But crypto transactions typically can be settled in real time on chain and without intermediaries. As a result, crypto intermediaries often serve different customer needs, they've got different business models, and they pose different risks than traditional securities intermediaries. All of that raises the question, what is the crypto-specific roadmap for these crypto intermediaries to register? Stepping back, I think there's a larger problem here. As Bloomberg columnist Matt Levine put it, and I quote, Chairman Gensler's posture is that he should be in charge of writing the rules for crypto, but not write them. I just don't see how that can work, end quote. I think Mr. Levine has a good point. Given the novel nature of these tokens, really Congress ought to step in and provide clarity. In particular, we need to revisit the definition of security as part of a larger effort to tailor a regulatory framework that is calibrated to the unique risks and activities of the crypto market. As I've said, crypto tokens have varying degrees of decentralization. They usually do not have a financial claim on the issuer and typically can be settled in real time without intermediaries. These are very major and important differences from traditional securities, and they merit a clearly stated and tailored regulatory framework. Now, while the SEC has failed to provide the regulatory clarity in the crypto markets, it's been issuing numerous controversial and burdensome rules and proposed rules in the ordinary securities market. Top of that list is the SEC's climate disclosure rule. Public companies are already legally required, to disclose material climate change information. The proposed rule, however, would go much further to require disclosure of exceedingly extensive global warming data. Now, this data will be enormously expensive to collect, but almost none of it will be material to a business's finances. For annual reports alone, the SEC estimates that aggregate external compliance costs for issuers will increase from $1.9 billion per year to $5.2 billion per year if the SEC's proposed climate disclosure rule becomes effective. The SEC itself, again, estimates that the external compliance cost of a company going public will increase by more than 5 times at a time when excessive regulatory costs are already resulting in ever fewer companies going public. The cost of compliance will be more material to the investor than the information itself. But, of course, the climate disclosure rule isn't really about informed investment decision. It's about equipping climate activists with data to run political pressure campaigns against companies, which will often be to the detriment of shareholders. The end game is to discourage capital investment in oil, in natural gas, and other traditional energy industries, and we've seen how well that's working out in Europe. The SEC is wading into controversial public policy debates that are far outside its mission and its expertise, and they're doing it without the legal authority to do so. And in the process, the SEC risks politicizing the agency, slowing economic growth, increasing inflation, and possibly even undermining national security. So given the importance of these issues, Banking Committee Republicans have written to the SEC asking basic questions about how the SEC developed the climate disclosure rule. Instead of providing real substantive answers, the SEC has been stonewalling us. While the SEC may not want to answer to Congress on its climate disclosure rule, but ultimately, the SEC will have to answer to the courts, which should make it nervous. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held, and I quote, "Congress does not alter the fundamental details of a regulatory scheme in vague terms or ancillary provisions. It does not, one might say, hide elephants in mouse holes," end quote. This summer, the Supreme Court applied this sensible principle in the West Virginia versus EPA case. There, it ruled that the executive branch and its agencies cannot use novel interpretations of existing law to pretend that they've got a legal authority to support sweeping policy changes, including on climate change, that Congress never intended. Well, that's precisely what the SEC appears to be trying to do with its climate disclosure rule. The SEC should consider itself to be on notice by the court that the separation of powers still exists and will be upheld. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, now the most important part of this clip was the ending. If you didn't hear it, make sure you go back. But in short, what the feds say is that the SEC should consider itself to be on notice. To me, that's a hint that they're basically telling Gary Gensler, listen up, man, you're getting really close to the end here. Do things properly or get out of the SEC and resign. Now, another very important thing is an article that was posted a couple months ago that within one single day got deleted after it being live. And here it is, guys. Somebody was able to send me a screenshot of it, one of my followers, so very thankful for that. But here it is by Forbes. It says Gary Gensler resign, and it shows you a picture of Gary Gensler right here. In the article itself, it talks about how Gary Gensler has been using the SEC for only personal gain and basically to serve SEC insiders. People which we can use as an example is the Ethereum Foundation, which we have clearly been able to see a conflict of interest between the SEC and the Ethereum Foundation, where the SEC has been claiming that Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, but deeming anything that is its competition as a security, clearly not following the rule of law. Now you guys can pause the video here and read this on your own as well. I'll make sure I go ahead and slow down. But yeah, that is so crucial to understand. Again, the article does continue here and you guys can read it all the way here. It says, welcome to the party, how the SEC is consistently following the pattern of regulation by enforcement rather than having to go ahead and actually provide why they are going ahead and suing. And one of the examples that they actually use is the Ripple digital asset XRP and the whole Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. That's going to be the end of today's video. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit the subscribe button, you like the video, and you subscribe to my channel, as well as follow me on Twitter at CryptoGeekNews. Link is all in the description. Now, hopefully you guys did learn something from today's video. I think it's a great thing that the feds are finally taking the role that they should be, in which they're actually trying to regain control of the SEC and monitor how it works, because as of today, there is a lot of conflict of interest and corruption within the SEC, especially when you have people like Gary Gensler that are literally siding with the Ethereum Foundation and saying anything that is competitive to the Ethereum Foundation is going to automatically be deemed a security. Now, this is again a complete conflict of interest. We've been able to prove this because Gary Gensler's brother works in a foundation, and Gary Gensler himself owns a part of that foundation, and the foundation is highly invested in Ethereum. Clear conflict of interest. Made a separate video on that as well. I've also shown you guys that a lot of these investment firms that are highly invested in Ethereum are also going ahead and paying Gary Gensler, which again proves to me that there is definitely a conflict of interest. He's been exposed on multiple occasions, and now we need somebody or something to step up to the game and really put him accountable to all of this conflict of interest, or at least investigate him. Look, is he actually conflicted? Is he getting personal gain? Because I feel like he honestly is getting something out of it. Either he's getting paid the big bucks to go ahead and sue any competition to the Ethereum Foundation, and this is why this lawsuit's going on right now. But that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure, like I said, you subscribe, you hit that like button, you comment your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next Crypto Geek video.